Sunday night, guess what? They instantly highlighted that Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts is indeed black. Didn't see that coming. Feeling the need to highlight the race of the quarterback instead of the accomplishment, the spectacular play, the leadership that led the Eagles to their second ever Super Bowl championship. Can you imagine if Josh Allen had won the Super Bowl? Josh Allen has become the 39th white quarterback to win the Super Bowl. As some have said on Twitter, where does this stop? Like, I'm wrong because I treat everybody the same, always have, always will, but I grew up in a different environment. I grew up in Gary, Indiana. I grew up interacting with African-American folk. A lot of you didn't. A lot of people writing headlines at ESPN didn't. So now they feel the need to overcompensate. That's right. They're overcompensating and trying to make sure, hey, I'm down with everything. Oh, no, really, I am. Look at me. There's nobody whiter than the administration at ESPN in the fourth building number 4. There's nobody whiter, nobody in the world whiter. But they got to feel the need to insult all of us because, frankly, we've all moved along. We have. We've all moved along. We can see very clearly that Jalen Hurts is black. We can see that. We can also criticize a halftime show, whether it's white or black. We can because we like what we like. As my friend Fred said when he called my show and said, hey, Daddy, I'm married to a 300-pound woman, but I like what I like. I've always thought that. You like what you like. But if you don't say Kendrick Lamar was the greatest show or really good, then you're racist. If you don't acknowledge that Jalen Hurts, who probably doesn't even acknowledge being a black quarterback unless he has, isn't a black quarterback, then you're racist. It's all very stupid, and it's all far from where we're at as a country. I get it under the Obama world and under the Biden world, we had to do that. But here we just accept people for who they are. Jalen Hurts is a terrific quarterback. I don't give a damn if he's black, white, or purple. Kendrick Lamar, in my opinion, sucked. I didn't want to watch it. I don't give a damn if he's black, white, or purple. I don't know what to tell you. Now, I'm not going to qualify it like many have by saying, well, you know, I really like Michael Jackson, and he's black. No, I didn't like Kendrick Lamar. I've gone to shows. I didn't like the audio. I watched. I didn't like. I went. I left. What are you going to do? White or black? Who cares? You like what you like. Thank you, Fred, for that. Anyway, here it is. Black excellence. Here's what ESPN had to say right after the game. Black excellence. Jalen Hurts joins Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, and Doug Williams as the only black quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl. Wait a second. Mahomes got a white mother. Probably Russell Wilson does too. I don't think Doug Williams does, but I think Wilson does. Somebody in there. And I know Mahomes does. Why don't we get credit for that if we're going to go straight racist? It's so stupid. It's so ignorant. It's so demeaning to everybody. Nobody cares. I mean, I get it. I do. I understand. ESPN cares because they're still trying to, fight the good fight. Yay, Rob, go fight, win. But it's just so dumb. It really is. I don't think anybody anymore looks at a quarterback and goes, well, I don't think the black guy. What? I don't think so. You watch football, you're like, hey, man, I don't like Jalen Hurts. Why? Because I'm rooting for the Chiefs. I don't like that Patrick Mahomes. Why? Because I'm rooting for the Eagles. Or you bet against them. I don't know. But nobody, and I mean nobody's watching a game going, I'm not watching a game because of an African-American black quarterback. What? That's for black journalists. They won't watch a game because there are white guys in it. That's for them. That ain't for regular peeps. Regular peeps are like, man, Super Bowl, let's go. Let's do it. Fan response. Here's Clay Travis. Can we get a white excellence tweet for Cooper DeJean winning his Super Bowl or during his Super Bowl pick 6? If not, why not? The constant identity politics bullshit is overwhelmingly rejected by sports fans of all races. That's why your brand has become such garbage. It is. Like, you see Dan Orlovsky, quote, step down, taking time away. He's had enough. He's had enough of the bullshit. He's had enough of going on there every day and watching idiots criticize him because he's a white guy. He's had enough. I mean, I get it. I've told you for years, well, not years, but some years, that sitting in the green room or getting in the makeup room is the worst experience ever. Stupid reigns. Orlovsky just stepped down. He's had enough. No sports fans watch and go, oh, black quarterback. Well, can't watch. And Clay is right. Hey, I don't know the last time a white cornerback, maybe Pat Fisher of the Washington Redskins. See what I did there, Aaron? Maybe he's the last white cornerback. Maybe Dick Anderson, a white safety for the 72 Dolphins, returned a punt. or returned an interception. I don't know. But damn, we should be celebrating Cooper DeJean, the first white cornerback in the modern era of the NFL to score a touchdown or play in the Super Bowl. Yay, white excellence. Oh, shut up. It's so stupid. If you did that, I would make fun of you even worse. That just dumb. Attributing an individual's success to excellence across an entire racial group is incredibly bizarre. Can you imagine ESPN tweeting white excellence if Nikola Jokic or Luka Doncic was ever to win the finals MVP in a predominantly black sport? Good for ESPN, though. They got you talking. They did. And my guys up there, Burke Magnus and the rest, they feel good about themselves. See, we're down. We're down for the cause, yo. Yeah. That's all they want. They just want Building 4 to be protected. They have massive amounts of money that they're making being executives at ESPN. They don't give a damn, and I know this is fact. They don't give a damn about the quality of programming you see. They give a damn about the money in their pocket. Excellent game. Standout quarterback. MVP behavior. Black excellence. That's pretty good. Man, it's unbelievable to me. Why can't he just be a great quarterback? Why are we still doing this? Here's another one. I don't know, because it's ESPN. And ESPN must. I mean, you got a woman named Monica McNutt as an NBA analyst. What? She sits on set like this, making faces. And that's your NBA. Why do you think she's there? She's perfect, an African-American woman. It's really funny. So, yes, they have to do that. They must do that. They absolutely have to. Might as well get used to it. I guess there's no sense bitching about it. It's ESPN. Hey, would you agree with this? Now, listen to this. Awful Announcing, one of our favorites, has a bone to pick with Fox broadcaster and seven-time Super Bowl champ Tom Brady, arguing that Super Bowl 59 quote is proof Brady was never ready for Fox's top spot in the booth. I would not agree with that. I think that's crap. No, I'm not going to lie to you. I think that's total crap. Tom Brady did just fine. Greg Olsen is no better. Greg Olsen's just on the right side of the media. Tom Brady, this is the opportunity for the little racist nerds at Awful Announcing to criticize the uncriticizable. Tom Brady, 10 Super Bowls, 7 rings. It is impossible to criticize Tom Brady's career, Tom Brady's dating habits, Tom Brady's looks, Tom Brady's style, Tom Brady's temperament, Tom Brady's sense of humor. So the only thing anybody, these little weasels, these little racist weasels at Awful Announcing can do is criticize, oh, this is easy, Tom Brady's announcing. Tom Brady was just fine. You know, when guys die, we talk about how great they were. Pat Summerall and Tom Brookshire were the best. John Madden was the best. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. I've studied this for years. They're all right. They're fine. I mean, seriously, Tom Brady was just fine. Just fine. Listening to Brady's broadcast debut in the big game, you wouldn't have known he had ever played a Super Bowl before. What? They talked about it constantly. What are you talking about? Let alone 7 of them, won 7 of them, until he waxed poetic about his experience with the game being well out of hand late in the fourth quarter. See, here's what happens in announcing. It's always, well, he always talked about himself if he had talked even once about himself. I get it. The little nerds, the little racist nerds at Awful Announcing are mad. They're mad because Brady is better than them. They're jealous, and this is the only way to get back. Brady wasn't completely bad. Oh, good. Well, who ranks the rankers? Think about it. Who ranks the guys doing the ranking here? One can argue he was perfectly serviceable, but he was closer to the game manager who led the Patriots to their first 3 Lombardi trophies rather than the Super Bowl MVP who won 3 more before leaving New England and adding another with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for good measure. Okay. I mean, who's really good? Let me guess. Close my eyes. Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen's fine. Greg Olsen's made a big deal about, you know what, getting demoted. You know, he should just be happy he has the job. If Greg Olsen left today, Nobody would notice except awful announcers. Well, it's just unfortunate. He's no better than any of these guys. In a vacuum, Brady is just fine as a broadcaster, type of analyst you wouldn't bat an eye at if he were calling a second-tier Big Ten game on a random Saturday afternoon in October. Except this wasn't a random Saturday in the fall. It was the freaking Super Bowl. With his first season as a broadcaster officially over, it would be tough to argue that he lived up to the hype. There was no chance. I told this on this show forever. There was no chance he was living up to the hype. I mean, you can only do so much. See, people don't understand, and everybody that broadcasts games understands. The game on television is the thing. The game on radio is the announcer. The announcer has to paint a picture on radio. On television, it's right there for you. Again, Brady wasn't bad. At least not in the traditional sense that he had noticeable flubs or didn't sound like he knew what he was talking about. Here we go. But he certainly wasn't good, especially when considered the magnitude of the moment or that he replaced the near universally beloved NFL analyst Greg Olsen in Fox's top boost. I'm telling you, Greg Olsen is the underdog that everybody wants to prop up. Tom Brady is the king that everybody's trying to tear down. Greg Olsen's no good at this. He's okay. Like, I heard him one time, and I thought this was like the A string, then I found out it was that guy. I'd much rather have Tom Brady on the broadcast because I'm waiting for something. I like the experiences. Greg Olsen, what? What's he going to tell us? Time he caught a pass over the middle? Oh, wow. No, they're both fine. They're fine. I mean, I don't watch the game for the broadcast. And again, you got to do something wacky. Romo was different when Romo, didn't think he was Romo, and he would call out what plays were coming. Now Romo's just gibberish. Name me a good NFL announcer, and don't say Adam Archuleta. When you're bad, you get Adam Archuleta or Jonathan Vilmer, and that's what the Colts were, bad. We got a lot of Adam Archuleta. I've been studying this since I was a kid, true story. Studied it in college. Worked at it 10 years. Should be doing it right now. I'd be the number one person on Fox, but they don't want me for some reason. Maybe they do. I don't know. I should find out. Anyway, the bottom line is this. Tom Brady, Greg Olsen, who cares? It's just better to have a 7-time Super Bowl champ up there in my view. Greg Olsen needs to stop whining too. Nike, the largest sportswear company in the world, decided to air an ad. It was really kind of funny. They decided to air an ad during the Super Bowl for the first time in more than 25 years, electing to feature only female athletes. Nike and ESPN, they're great. Such as Caitlin Clark in an apparent attempt to show its support for women's sports, even though Nike does the opposite by partnering with Dylan Mulvaney and keeps quiet to biological men competing in women's sports. Nike has been asked numerous times to comment on biological men competing in women's sports. Nike has never responded. Nike has never been at the forefront of anything except for making little kids in China make their shoes. They're at the forefront of that. I remember going on Nike trips as a coach, and I remember we had to go to a mandatory meeting, and they spelled out all the propaganda that we were supposed to say if asked, being a Nike coach. I'm like, hey, man, I don't care. You're giving me $20,000 extra. I was making 70. You almost got me to $100K. That's fine. I'll say whatever you want. What do I care? And then I started thinking about it, and I thought, this is bullshit. And I watched all these coaches, Krzyzewski's, Izzos, Roy Williams, all these legends, Dean Smith, all the legends of coaches sitting in there. And I'm like, this is apparently what you got to do. You got to sit there and bullshit. It's true. Sat in a big auditorium. Big-ass auditorium. The Nike guys got up, and they went through slides on what we're actually supposed to say. I got sickened by it. In fact, I think I turned down a call. I went on some. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I was stupid. I had a wife. Couldn't afford many vacations, but I could take the Nike trip. Took it a couple times, and I'm like, this is stupid. Come back, my wife said, what was that about? I go, they want us to, here's the list of propaganda that we're supposed to say. Nike's full of shit. Come on. Here's Caitlin Clark in a Nike commercial. You go, Caitlin. Nike doesn't care about you, but I'll tell you this. Caitlin getting about $28 million from Nike. That's right. She getting about $28 million. Hell, I'd do it too. I mean, damn. Here's Dylan Mulvaney in a Nike ad. Now, this is what you women of Nike are fighting for. There you go. There's Dylan Mulvaney. Oh, by the way, a dude. Not only that, Nike's ad, well, they tell you you can't do it. Who's telling women they can't do it? Nike, you are. ESPN, you are. By not saying, hey, dudes, get out of here. Go into the men's locker room and participate against men. Chicks transitioning to dudes, go play against men. Nike, you and ESPN are the only ones. You're so behind on this, it's unbelievable. But I saw it. I did. You did too. I saw it. I saw it and you saw it. You know what we saw? We saw people saying, oh, what a great ad. Not a lot. Some. But you know what the public saw? Nike stock went down after that ad. It should. You can't bullshit us. Nike, simple question. What's a woman? Nike, simple question. Should Leah Thomas have been able to be in the locker room with his junk out, participating against Riley Gaines and others in the NCAA finals swimming? Simple question. Simple question. Never going to answer it. They're too big to answer it. That's what happens when you get too big. There's no accountability. ESPN, you ask the same question. They ain't going to answer. How many times has Awful Announcing done that? How many times has how many times has OutKick done that? How many times has OutKick gotten a hold of ESPN and said, yo, what's a woman? Why are you putting in your Women's History Month or whatever the hell it is, Leah Thomas? In your 25 years of women, 50 years of Title IX, why are you putting in Leah Thomas? I don't know. Here's our friend Jennifer Say, who has her own company. Dear Nike, why won't you actually stand up for women and girls? They won't. They'll put an ad out. Look at us. Ooh, look at us. Yay, Rob, go fight, win. They're full of shit, Nike. The brand that typically weighs in on every social issue, from racism to the environment to women's empowerment, has nothing to say on the matter of males stealing trophies and team bursts from women and girls. See, now notice this here. This is from OutKick. This isn't from Awful Announcing. You're never going to hear this from Awful Announcing. This is from OutKick, which is why we're the fastest growing media site in the country, in the world maybe. Because we'll tell you what's real. And this is real. It is easier to ignore the truth of males' obvious athletic advantage over women than to stand up and say a very true and obvious thing and risk criticism from the gender ideologists. Nike's brand image has built on authenticity. Not really. But I think we're finally seeing that the authenticity is a facade, such a facade. They pretend to champion women, but in reality, they treat them with astonishing disregard. See, you satisfy the Caitlin Clarks of the world. You satisfied all these little girls that were in the ad by putting them in an ad. Oh, my God, I'm in a Nike ad. I never dreamed in my whole life I would be in a Nike ad. Oh, I can't believe it. Yeah, uh-huh. Like, I was the same way. I guess I'm being critical, but I'm really not. I mean, to me, I was the exact same way. I can't believe I'm head coach. I get to go on a Nike trip. Always heard about him. Pretty cool. Everything's free. Hell, even ESPN. Oh, excuse me. I'm screwing it up today. Even CNN discussed the opposition of men in women's sports. When CNN is doing it and you're not, ESPN and Nike, you suck. Here's CNN.
I think these numbers are really illuminating on this topic because I just think there's such a clear trend among the American public. So transgender female athletes in women's sports, only 18% of the country says that they should be, in fact, allowed to participate in women's sports. Compare this to the opposition. I mean, my goodness gracious, 79%. You rarely get 79% of the country to agree on anything, but they do, in fact, agree on the idea of opposing transgender female athletes in women's sports. But it's not just the here and now, Laura. It's not just the here and now. What we're actually seeing is a trend on this particular issue, and it's going in the direction of opposition. So take a look here. Okay, transgendered female athletes, and amongst those Americans who oppose them in women's sports. Back in 2021, it was 62%. A majority, but, you know, not anywhere close to a ginormous majority, right? A clear majority, but not a ginormous majority. But then again, you look here in 2025, you see it at 79%. So it's not just that the majority of Americans are opposed to transgender female athletes in women's sports. It's that the opposition has become considerably larger in just the last 4 years.
I want to hear the big stupid on the left respond. Because there's no way she's into that. There's no way you could throw two people on the set of CNN and they respond saying, well, no, they shouldn't be in there. Can you imagine that lady on the left? I'm sure she had something absolutely asinine to say. DeAndre Hopkins has a good story. And if we're going to celebrate DeAndre Hopkins, the wide receiver, his mother, all that stuff, we got to refer to him, the whole story, as the mad crapper. The wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs decided it was a good idea when he was in college at the Combine here in Indianapolis. He and another guy, Rutgers wide receiver, were staying in a hotel here in Indy going to the Combine. Well, guess what? For whatever the reason, they decided to take a dump and smear it all over the walls, all over the ceiling, all over the windows, all over the mirrors. So that, in Indy, we call him the mad crapper. Well, the mad crapper is actually saying and questioning officials. Now, wait a second. This is a Kansas City Chief questioning the officiating. I'm going to say that again. This is a Kansas City Chief questioning the officiating. Come on. Saying there were touchy calls during the course of the Super Bowl. That was my first year being with the Chiefs, the mad crapper said, and I saw a lot of things in the media about the refs. But what y'all gonna say now about the refs and us when there were a lot of touchy calls? Are y'all gonna report that? No, because you're an idiot. No, just because you say it, you're the mad crapper. For whatever the reason, whatever happened in your life, you decided to smear crap all over the windows, all over the ceiling, all over the mirror, in a hotel room, costing $15,000 to $20,000 to fix. No, that's rule number one. Number two, you play for the Chiefs. You play for the Chiefs. And none of us, and when I say none, I mean absolutely none. Even Chiefs fans don't need to hear it. You got your ass beat. I'm going to say this right. You got your ass beat. Beat like a drum. Beat like, I don't know, whatever you beat. Beat. It's my first. Are y'all going to report that? No, you moron. We're going to report next time you take a dump in a hotel room and spread it on the walls. Here's the officiating with the Chiefs, a breakdown. Called for 103 penalties during the 2024 season. That is 22nd in the NFL, making the Chiefs among the team with the fewest penalties called against them. Teams playing against the Chiefs were called for 121 penalties. Josh Allen spotted short of the first down marker in the AFC Championship game. Questionable roughing the passer calls, which, by the way, Troy Aikman on your television called out against the Broncos Week 14 that extended a drive and led to the Chiefs' game-winning field goal. Generous holding call against the 49ers Week 7 that negated a long run that would have put the Niners in field goal position to win the game. Controversial roughing the passer versus the Colts Week 3 that extended the drive and led to the game-winning field goal. Come on. I mean, the mad crapper, just sit down. You got a great story with your mother. Stay with that. Don't even try to Biden, Kamala Harris, Democratic Party us with gaslighting that the Chiefs somehow, some way got a bad whistle in the Super Bowl. A.J. Brown on the first possession or second possession of the game would like to have a word. I got two words for you. Joe Biden style. Stop it, stupid. All right, Dallas Maverick fans who are already on suicide watch after Luka Doncic head to L.A. might want to look away. It's being reported that the newly acquired Anthony Davis, doing Anthony Davis stuff, had a great first half, great three quarters, and then he had to leave the game. Well, it's being reported that Anthony Davis will be in his customary street clothes for several weeks after one half as a Maverick before getting injured. Meanwhile, Mavs owner Patrick Dumont felt the need to get some ammunition off on Luka Doncic's dedication to winning. According to Shams at ESPN, Anthony Davis is expected to sit multiple weeks because a left abductor strain got pulled. It got strained. When he walked off, he had a great first half. They won the game. But when he walked off, I guarantee you every Mavs, every NBA fan said, here we go, street clothes. Doncic is widely recognized as one of the league's top scorers, achieving this elite status well before turning 25. At 31, Davis offers plenty of gas in the tank, but poses major question marks related to his longevity. Davis went down with a non-contact injury Saturday night. All right, here's the owner / governor. I don't want to say governor because you think he's a governor of Texas, and we know that's not true. So here's the owner of the Mavericks talking. In my mind, the way teams win is by focus, by having the right character, having the right culture, and having the right dedication to work as hard as possible to create a championship-winning outcome. And if you're not doing that, you're going to lose. That's what he said about Doncic. See, this is smart. He had to come out. The owner did. The owner had to come out in favor of Nico Harrison and his organization because the fans, they be a little bit pissed. Yeah, they ain't happy. And when the fans ain't happy, the owner can't be happy, but the owner needed to come out. If you look at the greats of the game, the people you and I grew up with, Jordan, Bird, Kobe, Shaq, they worked really hard. Not Shaq. Every day with a singular focus to win, and if you don't have it, it doesn't work. And if you don't have that, you shouldn't be part of the Dallas Mavericks. Wow, strong. That's who we want. I'm unwavering on this. The entire organization knows this. This is how I operate outside of basketball. This is the only way to be competitive and win. You want to take a vacation? Don't do it with us. Very good. Good for him. Now, in the NBA, it is a little different because one or two guys can change the fortunes of a franchise. Now, it remains to be seen, does this formula work? We've heard it here forever in Indianapolis. We're going to, quote, win the right guy, the right way, with the right guys. That's what we're going to do. In fact, they took down a sign here in Indy. The sign used to say, nothing gets in the way of winning. The sign now gives some verbiage about entertaining and inspiring by doing it the right way. How's that worked out? Why can't nothing get in the way of winning and you do it the right way and entertain? I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyway, you guys know more than I. Mark Cuban didn't want to trade Luka. He discussed it with Bill Gates, the former majority owner of the franchise, who still has a minority stake after selling 73% to the Adelson family, urged Mavericks general manager Nico Harrison to not trade the 25-year-old all-NBA guard for Anthony Davis. Mark Stein of ESPN reported that Sunday in his he's not with ESPN anymore, he's with Substack, the place where fired journalists go to write stuff that nobody reads. Well, that's his Substack newsletter. If, after you left Microsoft, you found out that Steve Ballmer traded Windows 11 like the new hot operating system for Windows 10, the Hall of Fame, but older operating system, what would you do? That's what Cuban asked, as the crowd laughed and applauded, as shown in a video posted by the Dallas Morning News. I mean, here's the deal. I've said this forever. Whenever people ask me, and they ask me this often, can this guy play in the NBA? My answer is really closer to the owner of the Mavericks. Depends on what he's about. Is he like Jordan? Is he like Kobe? Does he have an unrelenting desire to win? I remember when people asked me about Andrew Luck, I had talked to numerous people, including some of his coaches, and they're like, he's a great quarterback. There is no doubt about it. An unbelievable competitor. But he's not going to do the stuff that Peyton and Brady did. He's not going to drive 3 hours after practice to go work out a rookie, Anthony Gonzalez, at Ohio State. He's going to go read a book. He's got a more well-rounded life, and that's cool. Just the difference. Now, Luka Doncic gave you a chance. They're trying to tell us that Anthony Davis gives the Maverick a chance. We'll see. But being out several weeks, I don't think anybody really went, I'm surprised by that. Doncic, I must say, they won 132 to 113 last night over the hapless Utah Jazz. But Doncic looked fat and slow. You do it that with whatever you would like. What is it about youth sports that drives parents crazy? Certain parents. Last week, we well-documented a full-on melee. It was a hell of a brawl at an AAU basketball tournament that featured flying fists and terrorist threats. I'm going to say that again. Flying fists and terrorist threats. This week we got adults jumping onto the ice to attack a teenage ref. So here's the video. You're reffing a hockey game, and watch it. Here he comes. These guys are teenagers. Watch this. Look at this. A dad just came onto the ice. Boom, down goes one, down goes two. What is wrong with people? What is wrong? What is wrong? These are 13 and 14-year-olds. So now, here's my question. It's the same question I asked a friend of mine who abused his wife. I did. Well, how'd you feel after? What'd you do after? You're the dad that walks onto the ice. You're the husband that punches his wife. What'd you do after? How do you come back from that? I mean, there are certain things that you're always going to feel rotten for. There are certain things that you can't come back from. One is that. I mean, you can't come back from that. No matter where you go, what you do, you're going to be the dad that walked onto the ice and shoved two 13-year-old referees, probably making $5 an hour, down on the ice. Interesting. I don't get it. Hockey is a game of passion, but there's absolutely no place in our sport for that kind of egregious and outrageous behavior. It occurred in a 12U rec game in Washington where a parent went on the ice, physically assaulted two young officials, a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old. In my over 40 years in hockey, I've never witnessed that. I've never witnessed anything so completely unacceptable. If it is shocking to you, then you haven't been paying attention to what youth sports all across the United States has become. Just last week, we told you about a travel basketball fight in Missouri at a tournament where a man ended up barricaded in his car with a 9mm when cops found him. I mean, this goes way back. Reggie Rose, brother of Derrick Rose, pulled a gun on an old woman because he didn't want to pay a $5 cover for he and his family. Pulled a gun. Class. Parents been doing this forever. I'm thankful that my father never did. Ever. And I absolutely never did. I would sit there, quiet, and I'll tell you why. Because I saw my first game as my son's first game, my first game as a high school parent. Guy right in the middle of the crowd, big-time lawyer in the city of Indianapolis, fully dressed in his lawyer stuff. Call was made. He stood up, started pointing, and I looked at him like, didn't see that coming. I knew the guy. What a jackass. That'll never be me.